get set? Where them hands? Where them holes? Where them throws? You know what I'm saying?
And while they were here, they always wore masks.
Just in preparing to do commentary for this video, I came across two other stories just in New York of people attacking other people just because the people are Asian. It is ridiculous. I just think people are going to have to start walking around armed now. I mean, before people had keychain defenders, mace, but I'm thinking there needs to be some kind of expansion of concealed carry or something. If we're going to have people being attacked at these rates, what else can we do? Do people believe now that we have a race problem in this country when African Americans were appearing to be the only people complaining about being assaulted in racial attacks? It seemed like we cared, but then the nation didn't really. And then when people like me say, well, one of the reasons why I take martial arts is because, I'm afraid of being a victim of a random racial attack, people will shame you for saying that you're racist or trying to imply that, if you're a man like I am, that you're less of a man because you're worried about that. All you need to do is man up. And then you have the people who say, oh, man, just grab a gun and just shoot them. As if you can always get your gun out in time. And then we have the main thing I wanted to talk about in this video, or really more ask questions. And the attack that occurred in Manhattan, where a woman was attacked outside of a luxury hotel by a man who was wielding a knife. There appears to be there were two, possibly three people inside the hotel. They're calling them doormen who work for the hotel. Well, two work for the hotel, and I think one was a third-party vendor, who initially people thought just stood there and watched and didn't do anything to help the woman. It turns out that they came outside right after the attack was over, flagged down a police cruiser. They didn't directly intervene and risk their lives because they said that the attacker had a knife. So it implies that they were afraid to act because they were worried about getting stabbed to death by the man who was who was kicking the woman on the ground. So this begs a couple of questions that I ask mostly online, but sometimes offline. How much combat preparation does the average person really have in this country, in the United States? Next to none. A lot of us think that we can fight, but when push comes to shove and something really happens, what do people really do? A lot of times I've seen people, whenever I see a situation happens, and if I'm there, 9 times out of 10, and this is no exaggeration, I am the only person who even moves to react or does anything. Do you know what most people do when they see violence, even if it's just fisticuffs break out? They stand there and freeze. It's not that they're just watching it for the fun of it. They stand there, freeze, or are in shock and have a, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, look on their face. How are we going to program that out of the average person? I don't think that we can. The only thing I think we could do is make martial arts mandatory for a lot more jobs. Maybe we're going to have to start requiring martial arts training for people who have any type of customer-facing job. And that doesn't mean you just say, from now on you have to have a black belt and we just fire everybody who doesn't have one. No. Take it over a period of 10 years, 15 years. Train up people in customer-facing jobs so that they have martial arts experience. But yet the guy had a knife. And correct me if I'm wrong, conventional wisdom is that knife is more powerful than open hand, empty hand techniques, even if you are a master or grandmaster martial artist. So if knife is more powerful than people's hands, feet, throws, and chokeholds, then what makes us think that those doormen could have really done anything anyway without risking grave bodily harm to themselves? Now, are they security personnel who are armed? Are we going to start requiring our doormen to be armed? Armed with what? Do they have to qualify with the weapon? Should the doormen be wearing stab vests and have a gun, a sidearm with them? Or are we just going to give them tasers because we don't feel comfortable seeing big scary doormen armed with a gun? If they had guns, I bet you they would have been out there, right out there, a lot quicker. And if they had guns, maybe that attack may not have happened in the first place. Now, if they had guns and they had the authority to use deadly force on anyone who's standing in front of the hotel, maybe that attack wouldn't have happened in the first place. But then what type of people do we have to have that are going to be working those jobs where they're standing at the doors of hotels and they are authorized to use deadly force? Then we're going to have to vet them even more. So it just seems like this is just a really, really deadly rabbit hole that we're going to go down. And we can be angry at the doormen for not coming out there and risking their lives to prevent the assault. But then again, if we're honest, a lot of times when something happens, nobody does anything. You really don't. I've been in quite a few situations where I feel like I'm the only person that's doing something if there are no cops around. Okay? Most people just do not react when something happens that's violent. They're in denial. They're in shock. They freeze. They panic. And then maybe they're afraid. Now, let's say they went out there and they apprehended the knife wielder. They went out there, they apprehended him, right? And in the process, they hurt him. Or he had a heart attack. Or they accidentally hurt her. They're going to be sued. Is the company going to be sued? Are police going to? Now, this is something else that can happen too that I don't think a lot of people think about. And this is one reason why I've often been scolded by people who love me. I'll just leave it like that. When I've intervened with things, they go, well, that's nice that you're trying to break up that fight and this and that and all that. But, the cops may show up and shoot you. The cops may think that you're part of the problem. So what you doing getting up in these people's business, the cops may do something to you. They might arrest you. So you shouldn't do that. And sadly, they have a point. What if the doorman intervened and when police finally do get there, they want to arrest the doorman? They think the doorman went too far, or the guy with the knife starts lying and say that the doorman attacked him for no reason. What happens if someone's being attacked? Because a lot of times when you see two people fighting, you don't necessarily know the dynamics. You don't even know if it's a domestic dispute or not. You really don't know the dynamics. So you have the shock factor, and you have a lack of authority factor on the part of people who are not police intervening. And then you have, we don't really know what's going on. And then, in this instance, the person pulled out a knife. But at least what happened was the knife attacker attacked the Asian lady. Someone from across the street screamed at him and yelled at him. And I think from what I've read, that made the knife attacker run off. After that happened, the doorman immediately came outside and tried to render her aid, and they flagged down a New York City cruiser and got her help. And the woman that was attacked is recovering. But then again, though, all that being said, what do we realistically expect the doorman to do? What should they do? What are we all legally obligated to do? Are we going to pass a law that says that when something happens, we're going to intervene? You must intervene, even if they've got a knife or a sword or whatever. I don't care. You risk your life to help your fellow citizen. You risk harm to yourself to help your fellow citizen, or you're going to jail. Or are we going to say, Nobody's legally obligated to help anybody, even if it's happening right there. Or is there a happy medium? What are we going to do about this? I don't know. The only thing I know I can do is my part. I can teach martial arts classes to whoever wants to learn them. And I can encourage anyone who is afraid of being targeted because of their race, gender, religious beliefs, whatever demographic that someone may want to assault you for. Or sometimes people are just, I think we're just assaulted for no reason. Learn how to defend yourself. Get some type of non-lethal weapon, apparatus, tool that you can use, that you can legally carry to protect yourself. If you're allowed to carry it, carry it. Thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this with people that talk about the martial arts in peace. And for the record, I am not blaming the victim. Because the ultimate fault in crimes lies with the people who commit them, not the rest of us who are trying to go out of our way to stay unharmed. Peace.